Hello, my name is Missy Lee, and this is artifact number 9, standard 5.1 of Criterion 16 of the ITSE standard Accommodate Learner Differences. For this artifact, we are working on a plant unit. In my class, personalized learning involves goal setting, collaborating, self reflection, and data collection, all of which are helped by technology. I achieved this personalized learning classroom through CBL or competency based learning. My students had the opportunity to use various tech tools that aligned with their interest and their learning style, ensuring that the technology effectively enhanced their education goals. The other strategy I used was SDP, which means student driven projects, or this is a student driven model. And we had a lot of projects that the students could choose from to show their understanding of plants in this unit. That the students had a choice board of all the technology that they could choose when working on their plants or plant information. I wanted to show it in live time, this personalized learning information page or site that I created for parents and for teachers so that they would understand the connection of personalized learning and what our goals were. You can see here I have a lot of widgets for the students to choose from, a lot of information for them to click on and find the information that they're looking for. Here are the aspects of that personalized learning where parents could see the different strategies that we were going to use during this plant unit. It describes each one. It goes through the strategies that we're going to use and all of the technology at the fingertips of their students. Talks about how we're going to assess them, how we're going to get involved with the community, and outlines all of those tech tools. Hello, my name is Missy Lee, and this is artifact number 9, standard 6.1, criterion 19 of the ITSE standard, facilitate and guide learning as students take ownership of their learning goals. In my class, personalized learning involves goal setting, collaboration, self-reflection, and data collection, all of which technology helps. So this is the definition of a PLP, or a personalized learning plan. We have an initial meeting. We have check-ins at the end of every week of our plant unit. And we do an assessment at the end of the student's choice of how they want to present their knowledge to not only myself, but also the class. I wanted to show the technology tools that I made available to not only my students, but then I use to help assess their knowledge before we started this plant unit. This is the template that I made for my students. They didn't have to use this template. We talked about what a personalized learning plan what is. The students are very used to creating these plans as it relates to the different units that we present to them. My goal was to meet with them one-on-one after reviewing this sheet with them. Because they were first graders, I knew that they needed some help filling these boxes out, but I did want them to take ownership as much as possible. So on the right is a personal learning plan for one of my students. They outlined what they felt like they were really good in school, what their interests were. We outlined how they like to learn. And as the weeks went on, we would come back to this plan and make sure that we were following along with the goals that we had set together as far as how it relates to what they did not know about plants before we started this plant unit, identified through a pre-assessment, and then how they were going to interact with all the activities and projects that we had laid out for them. So they were able to make goals, and we set up time at the end of every week to review the goals and how to move forward. Hello, my name is Missy Lee, and this is artifact number 9, standard 7.1, criterion 23 of the ITSE standard, provide alternative ways for students to show competency. You can see here with this artifact, these are the modules that I created in Canvas. In week 1, within my Canvas course, we were learning the parts of a plant. And so I designed this lesson to give the students voice and choice, and to be able to showcase what they were really good at. by creating a poster, and they could do that any way that they wanted to do. So they could use a Canva, they could use a writing tool, they could draw it out with crayons, whatever they wanted to do to learn the parts of a plant. They could get with groups or a partner, and at the end of the week, they would share their poster with the class. In week 2, we did a math lesson. We were sorted seeds. We went into a graphing activity with IXL, which is an adaptive program. And so if students weren't able to answer enough questions correctly, it would remediate for those students. And so we read stories, we did a sorting activity. And then we were able to share graphs with the class. In week 3, we did a creative writing project on George Washington Carver. We watched several videos. We did a Nearpod lesson, and then I allowed the students to do their own creative writing around George Washington Carver and all the facts that they learned about him, and then do a presentation if they wanted to. They didn't have to present their creative writing to the class. And then our culminating activity was I gave them 3 options where they could either make a plant book, create a plant song, or create another plant poster with all of the aspects of the plant that they learned. Just a couple of slides showing the visualizations or the tech tools that I allowed students to use and had at their fingertips. I had Discovery Ed activities that they could go to learn more about the plant. Of course, I had this module, and then I had a Bitmoji classroom with several links that linked videos and Nearpods and books in our online library. This is some aspects of the creative writing, that project that we did in week 2 with George Washington Carver. We also watched some videos on YouTube and read a few books. And then finally, this is how they showed mastery. We had their learning goals in front of us. We met one-on-one. We checked off to see if they were advancing in their goals that they had set with their personal learning plan. And then we also took an assessment in Illuminate to check for understanding. Finally, here are the rubrics that I used for the different plant projects that the students could choose from to show their understanding. Here is the plant book rubric. Here is the plant song rubric. And finally, here is the plant poster rubric.